Countyfairgrounds in Pool K here. Do I have Sean Theroux of Finnegans-Circus?
Yeah, this is he.
Hi. Boy, you're booked for a lot of events this upcoming year.
Yeah, we get around. We try anyway.
Okay. So do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what your show is and what you do?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we are the Dr. Finnegans Circus Sideshow, and we're a comedy sideshow troupe. We perform acts like, swallowing swords and walking on broken glass and hammering a nail into your head, stuff that's, scary and shocking, but we do it kind of in a slapstick cartoon kind of fashion,
Right. You do things that normal people do every day.
Yeah, that old thing,
Okay. All right. So how many of them are you?
Well, we're a three-man group. I'm just one man. But there's three of us in the show. Right now, a lot of the shows that we're doing, we're going to be doing with just two of us, with just Chip the Rascal and me, the Reverend Sean Theroux, because one of our performance partners is dealing with some health problems. We love him dearly, and we're keeping his seat warm, and we can't wait for his return, and we'll definitely be booking the triumphant return of Dr. Finnegan tour next year. But for now, if you see us right now, you'll see a different act where it's going to be focused on two performers working in kind of more of a tandem, whereas when we have all three of us, Dr. Finnegan is more of the classic carnival sideshow barker, building up the act. He's an incredible orator. He gets up on stage and whips the crowd into a frenzy and then turns the mic over to one of the two of us back and forth throughout the show. But we've kind of switched it up right now while he's in recovery, and it's actually really fun. We've been doing this for 15 years, so to make a change in the act like this has been, it's terrible that our good friend is going through some health problems. We're very happy that he's in recovery and that he's going to be okay. But on the positive side, it has been kind of like a creative kick in the pants. And there's been a lot of changes and alterations to the show that have been a lot of fun. And so far, the audiences have been really enjoying it. And we don't hide the fact that Dr. Finnegan is going through what he's going through. We kind of commend him, and we also bring the crowd in at one of the parts of our act where we all do a cheers to everyone who we love, who may not be able to be with us at the show, in that very moment. And that seems to be a nice emotional moment, too, to a show that's a lot of comedy and shock and awe. So it's added some texture to the performance as well. Okay.
So how long have you been doing this, and how long have you been involved with it?
So Dr. Finnegan, Chip Rascal, and myself, we are the founding members. We wrote the show together 15 years ago. But before that, Chip was a traveling performer and a musician. I was a magician and sideshow performer on the side, like when I would get booked to open up for bands. And Dr. Finnegan was a poet. So it all really works that we all brought our talents together, and we each kind of fill in a character place in the show,
Hey, one of you's a sword swallower. That I don't know how did that get started.
Oh my goodness! So Chip and I, we became fast friends when we first met, and we ended up becoming roommates. And we were living together when he said, I'm gonna get into the sword swallowing. And I was like, all right, buddy, yeah, that's a great idea, though. We'll do something with that. So he started training for it by he'd wake up early, so there'd be no food in his stomach. And he would start trying to, swallow. First it was a blunted object, and then he graduated up to the sword. But for a solid year of my life, I had the room in our apartment right next to the bathroom, very thin walls in a city apartment. And I woke up every morning to the sounds of him practicing sword swallowing. It was the most grotesque alarm you could have ever asked for. But yeah, after a good year of it, he had it down, and then we turned it into an act, and now we perform it as I hope everybody gets to see the show one day and see what I'm talking about, but we perform it as a game show. We call it the Sword Swallow Showdown, and we have a contestant come on down to the stage and take part in the act with us.
Yeah, I've interviewed Dan, the sword swallower. I'm sure you know who he is. And
Yeah.
he has some really interesting stories to tell.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, what kind of stories are you looking for? Because it's gone beautifully well, and it's also gone horribly wrong, and we have to play it all off on stage no matter how it works. That's the beauty of live entertainment, I guess.
Okay, so what has your other partner that's working with you now? What has he done besides being a performer?
Chip was a musician, and he traveled. I think he first got into doing magic and sideshow stuff when he was going to events. And he has a great story about he wanted to go into a fair, and he didn't have any money. I think he was in Europe at the time. So he made some friends with some jugglers and stilt walkers, and he ended up getting up on their stilts and walking in. And, you know, how do you ask the guy for a ticket when he's 10 feet in the air? And he walked in like he was part of the show on stilts, and got to go to that festival for free that day.
Yes, I interviewed a lot of stilt walkers too. I get where you're coming from. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So who does all your booking? I'm curious.
For the most part, I handle a lot of the communications. Over the years, we've kind of passed the jobs around, and you know, if we have any direct relations with the event planners, then that person will deal with it. But I would say right now it's primarily me. I send out a lot of emails. I spend a lot of time on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. Do you do any fairs or county fairs or state fairs like that?
We would love to, but right now our primary source of work is conventions. If it's not the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, we're at tattoo expos, horror conventions. We got started with the expos back when they used to have motorcycle expos. Back when there was television shows about building your own choppers were very popular. That was one of our first tours. But the beauty about these expos is, it's a guarantee. So you go out to whatever city or town that they're having the convention in, and you know you have a big crowd because these people always put a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of work into making a big show, so it always attracts a lot of people. And then when we're in those towns, we get to look for, other work, stuff that maybe wouldn't necessarily pay us enough to travel all the way out to that town, but venues that we'd really like to go to. So we get to work comedy clubs, and we'll be at a place called Sideshow Gelato in Chicago coming up soon. I believe that's July 12th. Places that we're just really excited to go to and meet other performers and work with people that we probably wouldn't have the opportunity to if it wasn't for the conventions.
I'm going to ask you another wild question. You a married man?
I am.
What does your wife think of this, dear?
She's great. I'm a very lucky man. I married very well. She's very supportive. She's very sweet. She loves the magic and the sideshow, and she loves that I'm so close to my performance brothers. Chip Rascal was the best man at our wedding, and the wedding officiant was Dr. Finnegan. He actually got ordained, and he did the ceremony for us. So she's great, and she probably could have married better, to be honest. I'm the one who married well.
So is Chip married?
Chip is not married. I have a wife and a son. Dr. Finnegan has a wife, and Chip is unattached. He's our single friend.
No, I wouldn't say he's unattached. He's attached to his sword.
He's attached to his sword. Well, I'm just putting it out there. If any of your listeners are interested, Chip Rascal, great guy. I vouch for him.
How many years has he been swallowing swords?
Boy, I guess going back now 14 years.
Wow. Yeah, Dad and I had any talk about how he started swallowing swords, and it didn't sound like any fun to me.
No.
All right, so you're a magician. Have you ever done anything else?
Yeah, I'm pretty much a performer. Did magic and sideshow stuff. Got started with kids' birthday parties, and that turned into balloon animals, which led to, working in parks, and then that turned into street performing. And before I knew it, I was, in my early 20s, and I had a little bit of a reputation as a weirdo, as a wandering weirdo. So I would get booked to open up for bands at music festivals and raves. I'd perform all night sometimes. And then, I got hooked up with Chip and Billy, and Dr. Finnegan, his name is Billy. And I've been doing that now for 15 years.
So I see you also do tattoo expos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of tattoo conventions.
Why tattoo conventions? I'm curious.
There's actually a huge history with tattoo and sideshow, going all the way back to Coney Island, tattoo artists working in Coney Island in conjunction with the sideshow. Of course, there's the tattooed man, tattooed lady, which obviously wouldn't be an act that anybody would go see nowadays.
No.
Everybody's a tattooed man or tattooed lady. But no, there is actually a deep connection historically with the tattoo community and the circus sideshow community.
Okay. All right. Well, do you bring all your own stuff when you do a show?
Of course.
Okay.
We have strange props and we travel. That's basically what we offer the public. We'll travel.
I've looked at your website and it says you do Halloween shows.
Halloween has always been one of the easiest times to book a circus sideshow for us. It's one of the few times a year that we actually don't have to leave. So we live in the Northeast, and there's just so much competition for attention. There's always something going on. Like we used to work when we first got started. We were very excited to work in New York, but it would be smaller crowds because there's just so much going on in New York City. Nowadays, we spend a lot of our time in the South and in the Midwest, where when there's an event coming to town, it's a bigger deal. There's not as many other events on the same, weekend. But when it comes to Halloween, that is when we can actually work locally, and I can sleep in my own bed after a show. Because people like the strange and unusual, in Halloween. It becomes okay and acceptable no matter what walk of life you are, no matter what event you're going to,
So do you change up the show a lot for Halloween? Is it different?
It is very similar because we are always strange and unusual. I think the world changes up for us on Halloween. They become more inviting and accepting.
Okay. All right. So you do the booking, and I see on your website that you're booked through the middle of October. So I take it you're open for bookings then.
We definitely are. We do have a few things that we're in pre-negotiations with for 2025, but for the most part, 2025 is still unwritten.
Have you had any regrets about doing this?
Regrets about, this is what I love. My regret is that I wasn't able to get more shows earlier.
Okay. And you said you had kids?
I do. I have a son. He's 13.
What does he think of this?
Oh, he loves it. So my wife is also a painter, and I'm a performer, and he, when he was very young, started getting into comedy, and now he's part of the school plays, and I don't know, there's just a bohemian in our blood, I guess. There's something about the performance that we all kind of connect to. He loves it. He wears our shirts. He's been to the shows. He knows the lines. He tells his friends about it.
Yeah. Careful there. I'm half bohemian, too.
the good half, I hope.
Well, I don't know. I've been at the Countyfairgrounds business since 1998, so maybe we have something in common.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how do people reach you if they want to book you?
Oh, you can definitely check out our website. We're Finnegans, with an S, finnegans-circus.com, Finnegans, circus.com. And from there, it'll take you to all of our social media, and there's also just a hot link to email us directly. That's usually the best way. Once you get in touch with us via email, I'm always pretty upfront about giving you all the information you need. If you prefer to talk to me on the phone, if you have any questions, we're pretty open about what we offer, and we hope we offer a good show. We hope people see it as something worthwhile, and so far so good. People keep calling. We're in a good place right now in our lives. We're very lucky that the phone does ring. We've had the opportunity to do a lot of shows, and a lot of people have seen it. So, people do want us. I remember when we first started, it was really, really hard to get bookings. Now it feels like it's a little bit easier,
Yeah, sometimes I wish my phone would quit ringing.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, but those are
Okay.
the champagne problems. Those are the problems you want in life, right?
Yeah. For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and we'll get this posted, and hopefully you'll get some bookings from it.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate your time.
And I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
No problem. You have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.